The janitor had been working in the sprawling government building for years, quietly moving through the halls unnoticed. At 35, he carried the weight of experience, years of cleaning, fixing small problems, and observing without comment. Today, however, everything changed. Security had grabbed him roughly, dragging him down the hall. His mop clattered to the floor, sending a small echo through the otherwise silent corridor. People stopped, curious eyes watching, but no one stepped in. Everyone assumed the janitor must have done something serious. After all, it was rare for anyone in his position to draw attention, and never this kind. Yet despite the chaos, his eyes remained calm, steady, and unwavering. "What's going on?" a nearby clerk whispered, glancing at the officers holding him. "Don't know," another replied, voice trembling. "He must have been caught stealing or something." The janitor's face betrayed nothing. He didn't struggle, didn't argue, and yet every step the security officers forced him to take seemed measured, deliberate. The tension in the hallway grew, and the low murmur of speculation filled the air. Then a voice rang out, a voice both clear and trembling, yet authoritative enough to stop the crowd in its tracks. "Stop! That's him!" The officers froze. Heads turned. And there she was. The general's daughter, also 35, tall and composed, yet with fear in her eyes. Her uniform pressed and tidy, she had the kind of presence that demanded attention. "That's the janitor! Don't touch him!" Confusion spread like wildfire. Security hesitated, glancing at each other. The murmurs in the hallway grew louder. "What do you mean?" one officer finally asked. "He's the one who warned me!" she shouted. "The one who saved me from the fire in the basement last week. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here." Her voice cracked slightly as she spoke, and the color in her cheeks betrayed genuine relief and panic. The janitor's calm demeanor didn't change, but a faint hint of a smile tugged at the corner of his lips. He didn't need to speak. His work and actions were enough. The officers slowly released him, muttering apologies as they stepped back. The crowd that had gathered began to disperse, whispers of disbelief and admiration replacing their earlier suspicion. The general's daughter ran forward, her hand on his arm, steadying him. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," he replied quietly, wiping his hands on his uniform. "Just another day at work." She looked at him, a mixture of awe and gratitude in her eyes. "You saved me. You didn't have to, but you did." He nodded, humility shining brighter than any words. "Someone had to." The crowd watched as the tension dissolved. The janitor, ordinary to most, had become extraordinary in a single moment, not through words, but through courage, presence, and quiet action. Even in the sprawling building filled with high-ranking officers and officials, it was clear who held the real respect that day. "That's him! Stop!" the general's daughter shouted, sprinting forward through the crowded hallway. Security froze mid-step, confused by her sudden command. The murmurs of the onlookers intensified as every pair of eyes turned toward the janitor being dragged roughly across the floor. His mop lay abandoned, forgotten, and his calm expression contrasted sharply with the chaos surrounding. Her voice carried authority, a mix of fear and desperation, yet unwavering. "That man saved me," she repeated, pointing directly at him. "He's not guilty of anything. He's the reason I'm still alive." The janitor's brow creased slightly, not from anger but recognition. He had done his job quietly, as he always did. At 35, he had learned long ago that true heroism often went unnoticed. Today, though, the world was about to see what others had ignored for years. Security officers hesitated, their grip on him loosening slightly. The crowd leaned forward, whispers running through them like a ripple. "Saved her? How? Who is he really?" "I thought he was—" Every assumption they had made moments ago now hung awkwardly in the air. The general's daughter reached him first, her hands gripping his arms to steady him. "You didn't deserve this," she said firmly, her eyes shining with a mix of gratitude and lingering fear. "I should have spoken sooner. He saved me from the fire last week, the one in the supply room. He risked his life, and I was too terrified to even thank him properly." The janitor shook his head modestly, brushing imaginary dust from his uniform. "I was just doing my job," he said softly, his voice calm and measured. "Someone had to help." Even as the words left his mouth, the truth settled over the onlookers like a wave. They saw not just a janitor, but a man of courage and integrity, a man who quietly observed, who acted when others faltered. At 35, he carried the weight of countless small acts of bravery that no one had ever noticed. The daughter looked around, frustrated at the crowd's lingering skepticism. "Do you see him now?" she demanded. "He is not a criminal. He protected us all when we were in danger. He deserves respect, not punishment." Security officers exchanged glances, finally releasing their grip entirely. Murmurs of apology rippled through the hall as the crowd began to disperse, shame replacing their initial suspicion. The janitor straightened, his posture steady, showing no need for praise. Yet there was a quiet satisfaction in his eyes, a recognition that justice, in its simplest form, had been served. She stepped closer, her voice softening. "I should have trusted you earlier," the 30-year-old daughter admitted. "You didn't just save me. You reminded all of us what real courage looks like." He smiled faintly, humble as ever. "Courage doesn't need recognition," he said. "It just needs action." And in that moment, the crowded hallway seemed to shift. The man they had ignored, underestimated, and even feared had become a symbol of quiet heroism. Not through words or titles, but through deeds that spoke louder than any announcement ever could. The janitor resumed his work that day, his mop in hand, the world watching differently now. The general's daughter walked beside him, ensuring everyone around finally understood the truth. He had been the hero all along.